Be prepared.
Welcome to the Nerdtastic In 3D podcast.
It wasn't. You pulled that up pretty nice. No, the way you got it, you didn't move anything. Are you a jinx? Are you? You're a bit. Get up on the damn mouth. That's not where it was at.
Close enough, suck a dick.
Sorry. Bong! Speaking of explicit.
It never ceases to amaze me that we start off every single show with the word bong.
Balls?
I think I did it once, and then it was just like, did you really just do that?
Yeah, no, Josh,
yeah.
you've started a trend, and now you don't even participate anymore.
I don't.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nerdtastic In 3D, episode number 35.
Holy crap.
I know.
We are a podcast of entertainment industry veterans talking about anything and everything that we find entertaining and or
Tres cinco.
nerdy. Yeah, 3-5.
That's not
You are-
that's not even the right Spanish.
3-5.
Treinta.
I got told by a
Treinta.
Spanish-speaking friend that I'm doing it wrong.
Cinco.
Yes,
by
I know.
Adam, the whitest Spanish-speaking
No.
friend.
4 years in high school, suckers.
By a legitimately Mexican person, I was told you're not
Legitimately
saying
Mexican.
it right.
So thank you so much for tuning in and checking us out. My name is Jason Carter,
I'm Jack Eckler.
Adam McFarlane.
Josh the Brat.
and we have a very special guest.
Yay!
Guess.
Yeah.
Someone joining us with a wealth of knowledge and an exciting project that we can't wait to talk about. Mr. Derek Friesenborg.
Hello, everyone.
Friesenborg.
Borg.
Bjerg.
Kind of sounds Swedish when you say it that way.
Exactly.
Yeah, a little bit.
Borgen,
It actually has a Scandinavian influence. It's from it's the northernmost part of Germany.
Much like IKEA.
Yes. It's a small town called Gretziel that actually there is a windmill with my name on it in this town.
Was
Really?
it assembled by
Derek?
an Allen?
Not Derek,
Oh,
unfortunately.
your full
No.
name.
Yeah,
The Derek
Friesenborg.
windmill?
No, there's a Friesenborg windmill. I have a picture.
Do you have a picture of it? Oh, very cool.
Not on me, but
Just keep it in your
Oh,
wallet.
yeah.
fancy
Interesting.
that.
yeah.
Look at this.
Interesting. You know, if you go to Bakersfield, there's a burning tractor with Carter written on it. Yeah.
Still
That's, a
burning.
true,
to this
that's a
day.
true story.
Has been for the last 6 generations.
Wow.
Derek, thank
like the
you so
tire
much for
fire
coming
on
on
The
the show,
Simpsons.
my
My
friend.
pleasure. Thank you.
Derek, you have had an incredibly fun and exciting history in the entertainment world. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, should I start with just the entertainment aspect?
Start
of
at
it,
the
or-
windmill.
Start at
the windmill.
Start at the windmill.
the windmill.
You came out with an Allen wrench in hand. You started assembling the city.
You went to your local IKEA.
Exactly. But there was page 5 and 4 were stuck together, so
After a while,
building
you
got
just
missed.
get rid of the instructions.
Yeah.
You can kind of figure
You
it
just
out. after a
eyeball it
while.
by then.
Yeah. So I grew up on the East Coast. I was born in Delaware, and I grew up in suburban Maryland, and a sort of bucolic upbringing. You know, it was nice, swimming holes, stuff like that.
Love swimming
And
holes.
I was always very artsy growing up. So eventually, yeah, I went to art school. I went to Red On School of Design, and before that, actually, I lived in Europe for a little bit. My dad works for IBM, and he had an assignment over there. So I lived over there like halfway through my junior year, my senior year in high school. I was in Europe.
Whereabouts in
Wow.
Europe?
In Waterloo, Belgium, where Napoleon was defeated.
Wow.
So you
Yeah.
literally moved, though, like during high school, like, hey, we're
It
moving
was,
to another
yeah, it
country.
was kind of funny because
rough.
my parents really were cool about it. They're like, "Is this cool with you?" And
oh,
and
they
I,
did really ask
I
you. like,
managed
hey.
to actually have the wherewithal to recognize how cool it would be. So
Not a lot
like,
of kids would have.
Like the
Very
whole
true.
family, the whole family up and moved.
Yeah, but my sister and my brother are older than me. They were actually already in college, so
They stayed.
suddenly I was an only child, which was kind of like our family went through this different dynamic. And also it was cool, like we got along so much better when we went over there because first of all, I could drink legally.
That's so
Very
awesome.
suddenly, I could drink legally.
Did
and
they
so,
tell you, or did you figure
No,
it out on your
no,
own?
It all kind of came out, and I remember the first night out, my mom was just she was just wanted for me not to go out, and she was just like, well, just have a good time and be responsible, and I came back just hammered, and she was waiting up for me, and like in her nightgown, and I was like, hey, what's up, mom? And she was like, you smell like a brewery, and I was like, that's because I'm drunk. And,
This country's amazing.
yeah, victory.
Side thing, really quick. That was kind of like similar the first time when I was 21, and like my mom hadn't seen me drunk since I'd been 21, and I was like the day after, and I came home and from a bar that was right down the street, and I just came in and I shut the door a little bit harder than normal. And she's just like, "Are you drunk?" And I just replied with, "Yep." And there's nothing you can do about it now. And I just like walked into my room. So
And I'm going to my bedroom.
exactly. So continue. Sorry.
But the cool thing was like, so my dad and I would go and have beers and play snooker for a couple hours. Like I was like bonding with my parents in a way you could not do over here.
I have zero clue what snooker is.
It is European pool.
Yeah.
Billiards.
Is that the one with the little pegs that you bounce around?
No.
I was like, no, that's your grandma's pool.
So no.
No, it's sort of more like straight pool, but it's got like
Huge
a lot
table.
more balls. It's the size of an aircraft
Yeah,
carrier.
the
You
table's
have to
massive.
use the the bridge, which everyone frowns upon. You're not cool if you do, but anyway, we'd play that. We play pool, and so it was good. We had a good bonding experience over there, and I had a great experience it was a nice school that IBM paid for all this, and I had a very good art teacher who encouraged me to go to art school as opposed to liberal arts school. That I think I kind of still am thankful for, because that's sort of what helped me go.
So prior to going, I mean, you were artistic, but it wasn't really maybe where you were headed till you went over there?
It's like I just didn't know that you could do that in a way. Like I love drawing and painting and stuff like that, and I just was like, well, I'll go be an architect, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what you can do. And
No, that's why I wanted to be an architect.
Yeah.
It's funny.
So that was good, and then I went to RISD, and that was a fantastic experience. They didn't have an animation program really. I was an illustration major, and either illustration or film majors could do animation as like a focus. So I made 2 films while I was there, 2 animated films, like traditionally.
Very
they're,
cool.
they're not very good, but I
no student.
But you
project.
did. But you did them.
But I did them, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
half
was
the
and
battle.
the thing was, and this has sort of influenced me a great deal since then, is that I loved like the process of making a film, like my own film, and I remember like thinking is like after I left college, I'm like, well, hopefully within the next couple of years I'll make another one, like in my own time, and I just didn't, because you get so busy with your stuff,
Right.
so it's leading up to what I'm doing now. It's like an incredibly gratifying thing, because to continue like with my career, basically, I moved out here, and there was really no work to be had. I worked in a video game. I worked at a video store.
What year was that?
It was 93. I graduated from college in 93. So
Okay.
Everyone's like doing the math.
No, I was doing the math. One of my favorite artists, Shepard Fairey. Who
He was the year before me.
That's what I went to RISD.
Yeah.
That's where the whole phenomenon of the Andre
Andre the
face
Giant.
and
The
that's
what?
all over my house. I have his art.
Andre the Giant.
Obey Giant.
Where
like
in your
it's-
house?
Scattered. Scattered.
No, tell me specifically where, because I'm visualizing.
But
your house right now.
he went to RISD.
He was the year before me at
Awesome.
RISD.
I'm not kidding.
Nobody actually.
I'm not joking.
Nobody knew this besides me, but I have it in my notes that there's this very specific story that you have about this man that I'm supposed to inquire
About
about.
Shep Ferry?
Yes.
Oh,
There was a story.
I have a couple, but
There's
I didn't know that. I'm throwing out there just because you
there's
said
one that actually I
RISD.
don't think it.
There's one I've told is entirely inappropriate, and
Yes.
we really want to hear
So
that
completely
one.
appropriate.
And that's the
Did
one
you
we
hide
want.
this part from me? Because
Yes.
you know.
All right, well, I'll tell
Oh,
one.
dude, that's
I'll
awesome.
tell one. You tell me if I need to tell
Bravo,
another one.
sir.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, so Shep Ferry at this time.
Just sorry, real quick. Can
To
you
catch
guys,
these two up on maybe who he is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I wasn't
I
kidding
know
about
I know
what
pictures.
the Obama Hope, all those campaigns.
Oh,
That's
yeah, yeah.
him.
Okay.
But
He does-
he was a big
he's the
street
Andre the
artist.
Giant.
He's a street, he does, yeah, like
The Obey.
gorilla.
So wait,
yeah,
where in your
Obey.
house? I'm not kidding. Where's the pictures? Like that.
They're
you have
currently
that
in the
wall?
guest room. They're currently in the guest room. There are some. No, the Hello Kitty one that's up there.
Okay.
Believe it or not, he did that based
Okay.
on his other print work.
Okay.
And he did the
sounds
Obey
specific.
Andre the Giant massive.
He started with all this Andre
I'm
the
a
Giant
huge
stuff.
fan. Needless to say.
Yeah,
That's-
his stuff's really well.
it's very cool you didn't
He's
say
kind of
that.
this genius thing he did, and it started when I was a freshman at RISD. He was a sophomore, where he would just put up. And it's funny, I have one of those stickers on my desk right now because I was just looking at sticker sizes for our two-headed cop stuff. I have the original Andre the Giant has
That's
a posse.
awesome.
But it's this nonsensical sticker that's a picture of Andre the Giant. It says, 7'2", 560 pounds. Andre the Giant has a posse, and you're like,
That was it.
what's the posse? Like, I want to know more. And so like it sort of raises these questions that have no answers. And so he wanted to put it out there and see if he could just start handing them out and like have people just start to like, what is
just
this
a buzz?
about? Like a buzz over nothing. And so it's this kind of artistic kind of concept that went beyond the art itself. And he went so far as to the mayor of Providence, Buddy Cianci, who was a very corrupt mayor. He'd done jail time, and then he was the mayor again. And
how is that possible?
America.
That's a side story.
that's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole other
It's
story.
amazing what he did and still was mayor. It's really awful.
America.
But he had a huge billboard in downtown Providence, and it was of Buddy Cianci, who has a horrible toupee, with his jacket thrown roguishly over his shoulder and sort of waving like, vote for me. I'm corrupt. and
I'm your savior.
and in the middle of the night, like it was a huge billboard. In the middle of the night, Shep Ferry made like this 12 by 12 foot size version of the Andre the Giant face on rolling paper, like
huge,
the wallpaper,
like big pieces.
And he put it over Buddy Cianci's face on this billboard, and it matched perfectly. So it really looked like Andre the Giant was like, vote for me. And it was like, I remember walking down to class. I was like, that is unbelievable. Like, I just laughed my ass off.
Because did you know instantly?
I knew it was the guy. I didn't know Shep Ferry or anything at the time.
Oh, okay.
I only met him once or twice, but like, I was like, holy shit, that guy really went for it. The sticker guy with Andre the Giant. And apparently, Buddy Cianci just hired some private eyes to walk around school and talk to all the dumb art students like, hey, I think that's really funny. Who did that? and so he got ratted out like immediately.
Like in a suit?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They had like the earpieces and stuff like, hey, I'm an
new
artist.
to this school.
Yeah. So Shep Ferry got brought before Buddy Cianci.
Wow.
And was like, and he just had to do community service. So it was not anything horrible, but he got busted.
Cinder
for
blocks
it.
and thrown out.
No, nothing like that. No lead shoes or anything like that. That's not the story. Or is that the story?
I don't know the story. I just have heard that it is a particularly good story.
I think that's.
And I don't mean to put you on the spot if you're not.
Oh, you got to tell me.
Well, there's this other.
I'm a fan, so I met him a few times too. So
yeah. Well, I just know that that same year he was dating a freshman girl whose dorm room, when you were approaching on the green, the second floor was kind of visible. You could see in from the
so
green.
It was like a slope down to that. Okay.
Yeah, slope down underneath, and you could spot this at this one moment a young gentleman's white ass bobbing up and down through the window, and that gentleman was Shep Ferry.
That's awesome. I'm sure everybody has a different story about him. That's possibly the best one I've ever heard.
High five there.
So those are my two Shep Ferry. I know I met him once because my friend actually went skateboarding with him when we first went there. He was a skater too, and so I met him once or twice. I don't think he would have any idea who I was, but now he'd want to kill me for the butt bobbing story.
No, absolutely not.
Wait, what did you call it?
Butt bobbing story?
Butt bobbing.
Yeah.
Because I've read those stories. I read about the post. So it was one of those things. I'm like, I'm never gonna ever meet anybody who was around school in that time. Because you read it and you're like, well, how much of this is like really was happening at school? And
it was really cool because I remember thinking how like we all were like, cool. You'd start to be like, oh, I saw a sticker in North Carolina. Like everyone was like, oh, I saw one here. I saw one here.
Big thing, yeah.
And I think the most interesting thing was I had a friend who was going to the School of Visual Arts. Like a year later, he was like, "Yeah, have you seen those Andre the Giant things?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I was like, yeah, this guy at my school." He's like, "No, it's a guy at my school." And I was like, "No, it's not." And he's like, "Yeah, he said he started it." And I was like, "He's a liar." But the cool thing is, I think Shep Ferry would like that.
Yeah,
like I think that's part of it.
I've
it's
seen
like
some speeches he's done. Yeah, he's big on just it growing like that.
It just becomes its own thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know I invented pizza.
Top.
I know, right?
Son of a bitch.
That's amazing.
That's very cool, though. Very, very cool.
Thin crust or deep dish?
Deep dish.
All right, fair enough.
That was
Sorry, we got totally sidetracked. So you were saying, you were in school, you went to art school.
Yes.
93 came out to LA.
I came out to LA, and there wasn't much work, and I actually worked as an extra for a little bit, and I can be seen in Forrest Gump.
I saw the photo. That photo, which I'm going to try to post and get it up on our Facebook page, is amazing.
Yeah. Just sort of like I was really trying hard to show my profile. So my back was to the camera. Like, what's
director's like, turn around.
Yeah. But it's like you can actually kind of make me out there, and
Are you like guy number 4?
It's I'm like, it's just the background. That's when he comes in, and there's
a good shot,
the racist guy. I'm right there.
You
can
are
totally
right
see
there.
me, and I'm there for a while. It's kind of funny. If you know to look for me, you're like, that's still him. He's still there. So it's when they let the first 2 black students into Alabama University, and there's the racist guy talking about coons. And he's like, "Oh, we swept him off the porch."
So you're lined up. So if I made a judgment
the
call
racist
about
guy.
you, you'd be on the side of the racist guy.
Apparently, well, I'm in the audience, so I don't know.
You don't know what side you're on.
I don't know. I'm not cheering anyone. I know
Okay.
that. So
you
I
weren't like
think-
high fiving your bro next to you, being like, "Yeah,
no,
racism."
No. They dressed me as a very conservative white gentleman, so I assume I am not for those students. So, but I didn't
Me as
really.
the person I am
you
today,
didn't- I mean, you
I
didn't-
am not
Yeah.
racist.
You didn't
No.
dive into the deeper, psyche of your character and really
No,
get
I
into
was
the...
actively trying to get my face visible on camera. That was my only motivation. So I did that, and then I worked in a video store, and
Natural segue.
yeah, which honestly,
Rocket Video on La Brea.
it was Videotech. No, yeah, Videotech, which is gone now. There's a lot of stories about that store, but it was gone. It was right across from. It was next to Book Soup on Sunset, where Sunset
No,
and Holloway
right.
meet, like across from Tower Records, and it's a great shit job. It's like if you're into movies, you get free rentals. That was cool because a lot of celebrities came in, and I was so psyched to get like this $5 an hour job because I didn't have any.
You didn't have any job.
And actually, when we first came out, we well, I can get into it later, but we had this sort of slight ongoing thing with Hanna-Barbera, who were interested in our Two-Headed Cop project back then.
Wow.
And
So that project's been with you a while.
since college, yeah.
Wow.
So at first we were out there, we're like, cool, this might be made into a series right out of college. We're millionaires, and then it was like, could I please have this video store job at $5 an hour? It was like,
Please.
but even then, by that point, it was just like,
Isn't
it was
that the
such
Hollywood
a victory.
dream?
Like the same day, like me and my friend Brian, who was like the co-creator of Two-Headed Cop, we just went, well, I guess we'll just go out looking for jobs. I don't know. And like we went out the same day he came back with a job at a deli for $5, and we were both walking distance. We were like, high five! Yeah, we made it. I love Hollywood.
Movies and free food.
Yeah,
This is awesome.
yeah, basically. So and then from there, I got into basically into video games. I worked at Activision, and for a while, I was kind of more just interface design. I'd gotten a little bit away from animating, so I made a point at Activision of getting back into that. I animated on Pitfall 3D. I don't know for
Nice.
the PlayStation 1, maybe. I don't
I
know.
love your question mark. What?
And then from there, I wanted to get into movies, so I really worked hard on a reel. Like I was working long hours, and I'd just stay after. And I made this reel up out of all the Pitfall Harry animations I had to do. I made this sort of like linear storyline
Montage.
Yeah, and so I got to Disney on Dinosaur.
Wow.
Yes. So
Well, that was still pretty early though in 3D. I mean, were you doing it, and you were doing it in 3D?
yeah, but funnily enough, so when I was at Activision, the program I worked in was 3D Studio version 4, which was this horrible thing that didn't have IK. Like I did
still
like
4.
standing cycles with all FK legs and stuff.
Because that would have been
It was really
before
bizarre.
Power Animator, even I think.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
really. And so when I went to when I went to Disney, they were training people on soft image, which I liked. I thought that was good. So it was cool. I got to Disney. I didn't know how to use the program. They like trained me for 3 weeks. I got paid to be trained, and
Pain to be trade.
yeah,
Yeah, I like
any
that.
variation.
Yeah.
That's my band's name actually.
I love them.
Yeah,
That's a stage name.
yeah. So and then from there, like I sort of took a break and like worked some freelance projects, and then sort of ended up ultimately at Sony ImageWorks, which is where I spent most of my time, like learning my craft. And I started on Harry Potter, the first one.
I read that, and for me in particular, I had no idea because so much of it, since in the later movies, all was in London
Yeah,
studios.
Well,
I
that
had
was
no
when
idea
it was-
Sony had
Yeah.
done any work on
and
it.
that was when it was Sony, Rhythm and Hughes, and a few others. And it was weird. Like there were sequences even that were divided up. Like,
Right,
that you had
right,
to hook
yeah.
up with. It was really messy,
Yeah,
and it was not. It wasn't. I think
and
a
that's back when continuity was not.
No, and you look at it now, and there's some rough stuff in there. But
Did you work on all of them?
no,
Or
after
up-
the first one,
Well, they took the work to London.
yeah, they didn't. Want,
After the first one, they were like,
pretty
Fuck
much.
I don't think
America.
they were happy with how.
No.
I don't want to name names.
Yeah.
I don't think the studio
quality.
was happy with the work.
Harry got pissed and pulled the work.
Yeah.
Harry.
What were you animating on that?
That I was kind of lucky because I got to touch not literally. Well, let's just say I got to animate on different animals and creatures and stuff like that. But so I did one shot of the three-headed dog, one shot
Very
of
cool.
the troll in the bathroom, and one shot of the centaur. And there's like a sort of horror stories around most of those. But like, well, the centaur, I did this. He was walking over the roots of the tree and talking at the same time. It's this long, convoluted
Right.
thing, and they kept changing the dialogue on me. It went on and on and on. And finally, I get it done, and I was like pretty happy with it. And it turns out that the director, after all this, just didn't like the way the model looked, not the animation.
Nothing to do with what you were doing.
But the model, I'm pretty sure that's the case. Yeah. And so they're like, he just decided that once you added the fur to the centaur, his legs looked too short. So to solve that problem, they put bushes in front of all of the animation,
like
CG bushes.
Wow.
They still do shit like
That's
that.
like someone doing like the best makeup job, and then they do an over the shoulder from like behind.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and there's a funny story that where there was an older gentleman who was the lead for Fluffy, the three-headed dog,
right.
and he decided, he thought it'd be cool. He was saying this to somebody. He's like, you know what? We should come up with a nickname for our team, the Fluffy team. Let's call ourselves the Fluffers.
Oh no.
And someone had to pull that old man aside and tell him that.
That was a separate conversation.
Oh, no.
That might
he
not
probably
work.
legitimately thought he was clever.
Yeah, no, he was really
Well, that's what
excited.
makes it
And
awesome.
he's like, oh,
He's like,
no.
oh wait, we can't do that.
Damn you, porn industry.
Yeah.
Damn you again. You take all the good names.
You're so
Good
great,
on it
but damn.
So I want to take a quick step back.
Yes.
So this video store, your first job, your $5 an hour job,
Yes.
was this like a kind of a famous little video store, like a Hollywood kind of
There's
like?
a lot of celebrities would come in there because it was on Sunset.
Right, that-
like
yeah.
Winona Ryder would come in.
Did she steal shit?
No, she was there. It was when she was dating Dave Perner from that band that I forget. And
Band.
and they would come in, and she had the real short hair at the time. I remember just like being smitten.
That was her
with
best
her.
look, yeah.
And Elizabeth Montgomery from Bewitched
Oh, right.
came in,
Oh,
and
wow.
she was like 70 something. She was absolutely lovely. Like
Even at that age.
even at
still.
that age, she looked amazing. She was very nice. Rhoda came in. I recognized her from her voice. I was like, no way, it's
And
Valerie
then-
Harper.
And then there's also one particular.
There was the best star setting I've ever had
Yeah.
in my life.
I definitely want to
in
hear
that store, and that was basically, this is a strange. that video store had a lot of weird side currents to it, but one was the Sultan of Brunei, the richest man in the world, bought all of his laser discs.
Laser disc.
Yes, laser discs.
You rented laser disc?
Yes, laser discs and videotapes, video cassette tapes from Videotech on Sunset. And I know you don't know where I'm going with this, but I am going to.
No, no.
What?
This is
Hold on.
this is getting even better.
Okay, so he could have got. I mean, he could have bought
could
like
have
a
bought-
Laserdisc factory
Yes.
to have them shipped direct, but he went to you guys.
He would send his followers, I don't know what you call them, his underlings, to the store once a month to spend about $10,000 on Laserdiscs and what
Did
have
you have a tip
Which
jar?
kept the video store open.
And
I'm
one
sure.
time a prince came through there, and I didn't know it, but all of a sudden all these people suddenly just stopped talking and stared at this one guy, and I was like, what's happening? And they're like, that's the prince. They can't say anything until he talks to them. And this was
All
like
I
in the
think-
middle of the video store.
All I think is Coming to America. And
Yeah,
there's people throwing
yeah.
roses down on the floor like,
Yeah.
Prince Akeem!
Yeah, and you're just yelling at him like,
Yeah.
"Dude, are you gonna get anything?" Like, just like,
Yeah, move! I gotta put these videotapes back. Yeah. So the Sultan of Brunei would come himself to the U.S. once a
That
year,
is insane, by the way.
and he decided this time that he was going to visit, not the video store, but he was going to meet up with the video store owner, who was originally from the Middle East.
Okay.
And it's also happened that Sultan of Brunei was pals with Michael Jackson, who also would send his underlings to our video store to buy his laser discs once a month. It was like this weird
We're
thing.
the only store selling
I don't know.
Laserdiscs.
It's where it was a good selection. It was a very good selection. And
now, when
like,
you say Michael would send his underlings,
yes,
his minions.
yeah, no, it'd be a black fan.
full of kids dressed as Peter Pan.
Not yet. It'd be a black fan. No, this was 1994. This was at the absolute height of media hysteria about Michael Jackson's first molestation charges with the little guy that ultimately was paid off $20 million to drop it. This is when this was
Okay,
this was
yeah.
going crazy right now. So one day I'm walking. I can walk to the video store. I'm walking up, and I see
With your deli sandwich from your roommate.
Yes. No, you know what I had for lunch when I worked at the video store? I would walk up to the gas station and get the 2 hot dogs for $1.
Yeah.
And sit on a bus bench and eat it, and then head back.
That
Well,
boy.
Hollywood living.
Yeah. So
You made it.
So I'm walking up, and the assistant manager, who's Louis, this guy Louis, who was
Of course it is.
Louis
he's-
from the Middle
his
East.
name is Louis Line. He's the son of Adrian Line, the director who did Fatal Attraction.
Oh, wow.
He went places.
Well, he was a commercial director, and he's doing it just to have a schedule. He's like, I'm kind of bored, and I just need something to do. So he was working at this video store. It was a very odd place to work. But so I walk up, and I see him turning people away. And I'm like, what's going on, though? And he's like, yeah, listen.
Hey.
Michael Jackson is coming to the store tonight, and we have to keep it empty so he can walk around freely and not feel any weird pressure from other
And just touch whatever
normal
he wants.
people. He can just
just-
balls out. And,
If he shows up naked,
He
Yeah,
can literally
game.
caress
and by the way,
anything.
those have to come down.
I'm gonna need you in your birthday suit.
So no, that wasn't said. We could wear our clothes.
It wasn't said, but
It wasn't
was
said, but it was
implied.
heavily implied.
But I'm sure, regardless, even if you're not a fan of his music or anything else, I'm sure you were still like, holy
Oh, I
shit,
was like,
Michael
holy
Jackson's
shit,
coming to
Michael
our
Jackson's
store.
going to be in the store, and I'm wearing this shirt. You know, no, but it was sort of like it was
Not even going to want to touch me.
Yeah.
He's
So
not even
I'm-
asking for
I'm
it.
like 12 years too old for this guy.
Exactly.
So,
Shame all.
so anyway, I go into the store. Everyone's sort of like, there's I think just 3 of us, and the manager was there. And I'm just like, we had this sort of area behind the counters where there was a table where we'd all just kind of wait, and like sort through videotapes, do that kind of
Wind
crap.
down.
Yeah. At the end of the night, there'd be beer there.
I just thought Clerks. Clerks came to my head. You two sit in the back talking about a
Yeah, there's a
fight.
lot of that kind of stuff going on, and so I honestly I just suddenly realized, sort of like the way a cat is suddenly in the room, and you're like, hey, it's a cat. It was like Michael Jackson was there. I don't even remember him coming in, but he had his hat on, and he had 5 o'clock shadow, and
I didn't think that was possible.
that was the most shocking thing. Well, not the most, but that was
turned out.
The story's going to go on, and it's going to get shocking.
But the weird thing about it was that he didn't like I wouldn't have thought anything of him. Like if he was in a crowd, he wouldn't have stood out. Because some celebrities, they pop, like there's a reason they're famous. Like I would not given him a second look. It was weird, and maybe he has some sort of cloaking thing that
Probably.
that oxygen
did.
tank. That's
Couldn't
one of
get
his
close
powers.
enough to see it.
Yeah, but so anyway, he was walking around, and after a while, he was just kind of walking around. Like he was in the animation section for a while, sitting cross-legged and just making a mess like a child, like videotapes everywhere that I had to clean up. And then
An asshole.
yeah. And so then at some point I sort of lost track where he was. They started to let customers in. And I remember this one guy he saw Michael Jackson. He drew a stick figure of a large stick figure holding the hand of a little
No.
one and pointed at it, smiling. It's like, you cannot do that right now. And,
Get out of the store.
Yeah. And so so the owner, Mayor, comes up to me. He's like, Derek, I have a favor to ask of you. And I was like, yes, Mayor. He had some accent. I don't know what it was. But,
I didn't know what that was.
yeah.
It sounded like you said yes, mayor, but you said yes, Amir.
Meir was
Mir.
his name.
Just
Mayor.
Mayor.
And it was
Okay.
a Bostonian accent.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It was an Italian accent. Abbondanza. But, so he says, I've decided to give Michael Jackson all of my old beta tapes. And I need you to go in the back and pack them into a box for me. And I was like, okay, Mayor, I'll do that. And so he's like,
Have at it.
and so he's like, I'll show you I'll show you back. It's the back office. So I go in, and Michael Jackson is sitting behind the desk with his sunglasses on, just like waiting there. And the door is closed by Mayor. I'm just in this room.
So it's just you and MJ.
It's me and Michael Jackson in a room smaller than this. It's
Full
like
of beta
a closet full of beta tapes that I have
Like
to
how
pack
many?
into a box.
How many things?
Three boxes full, like a couple, like 100.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
couldn't script this shit.
And I was and so I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what am I to do? And so,
What should I say first?
yeah, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm supposed to, don't look in his eyes or that kind of thing, so
Kalima.
yeah. So I remember I'm up on a chair or something. It's awkward, and I can feel the heat of the lights and stuff. And I'm like, "What do you say? What do you say? What do you say? You have to say something."
Do
and
these
so,
pants make my ass look
Yeah.
big?
So and I also am thinking I could really cause a stink here if I wanted to, dude, I hear you like to fuck boys. You know,
It's like Vertigo.
Yeah.
Your mind's racing
Oh
in
my
both directions.
God,
You're like,
it's
oh god, it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out.
like really. Yeah, so I'm sitting there and I'm like, and what I come up with, this is our conversation. I say, wow, I haven't seen beta tapes for a while. and he said, yeah. And I said, they're funny. They look like little video games. And that made him titter. It made him laugh. He actually went hee. When I said that.
Oh god.
And then the next thing that was said was, how do I call out from him? I think he realized this conversation had to end. And he's like, how do I dial out? Because I was like, oh, you don't need to dial 9. You can just call right out. And then I packed beta tapes silently. And I don't even remember if he called anyone. I think he just said that just so that I would stop trying this horrible line of conversation that was going nowhere. Like, none of us knew what to do.
Betamax,
Yeah.
huh?
He
Whoa.
laughed at your
Exactly.
jokes.
I think he was maybe as nervous as I was about the whole thing. And so,
I'm sure maybe.
and then I don't even remember like getting out of the room or anything. It's like I woke up the next morning in my bed. I don't know what
It's like the
happened.
Matrix.
Wait a
Exactly.
minute. Wait a minute.
What's in my stomach?
Yeah. It was just really, really surreal. It was incredibly surreal.
I'm surprised your first question wasn't so black or white.
Oh,
Ah, yeah.
I'm with you, Derek.
Cricket.
I don't know.
Cricket.
it's like the weirdest thing to be.
My head's going like 1,000 different places. Like, was it cool to shoot Thriller, or was it
Yeah,
like? You know,
and I even used to be into special effects, and I actually did makeup
Did you think of
for
Captain
some
EO?
for some. Yeah, that's
Did you go right to Captain
Yeah,
EO?
no, for like I did some in high school. Some girls did a Thriller dance, and I put makeup on them.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, I could have said something like that,
But of course, your mind was going.
No.
nowhere
You could have just turned around and done like the helicopter or something and really just impressed him.
right.
Well, I'm
you
sure
know?
the news, like you
I
said,
could
at
have
the
just
time,
flipped the table and hugged him.
That's like, okay.
bring it in for the real stuff.
Yeah, we were both thinking it. I'm doing it.
When I was I was at House of Blues one time, and we were up in the foundation room, and I was seeing a band that I actually loved, and I was
Oh, you really did do this.
I was
job.
just beyond hammered, just tore up, and I see the lead singer of this band, and I'm just
What
like,
band?
a band called Nonpoint.
Okay.
And I see the lead singer, and I look at him, and I was just like, "You're the guy from Nonpoint, aren't you?" And he's just like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And like shakes my hand, and like I always wanted to, like, whenever I I'm a musician too, so it's like I want to always ask like intelligent questions, and all I said was like, "No man, you played my favorite song," and no, like thanks for coming here, and I hugged him.
Wow.
And then I stepped back and then shook his hand. He goes, "No, man, I really appreciate it." I was like, "No, like, you guys are so great." And I just became that stupid fucking fan. And then I hugged him again, and I just was like shaking his hand, and I just wouldn't let go. And I just kept saying, "No, you guys,
You don't get it.
you don't get, yeah, exactly. You don't get it. Like,
You don't get what I'm
I said,
saying.
no, you guys,
You don't know how good you are.
I'm so happy you're
we
here.
should be together forever.
And then he just goes, "No, thanks, man. So, I'm going to go over here to my friends." And I'm just like, "Yeah, man. Again, thanks." Dude. And I hugged him again.
3 times.
As he was
Oh
leaving.
my
And I hugged him
God.
again.
Wow.
And I left, and and we walked away. And he walked away, and I looked at my girlfriend. And I was just like, and I put my head down. I was like, "How could you let me do that?" And I just immediately knew I was just that guy. And it was just atrocious.
You could have, Derek, been that guy.
3 hugs is a little
I would
bit.
prefer
Exactly.
that. I feel like I really.
I'm
really hit a
embarrassed
foul
for
ball.
myself right now, telling the story.
I would say Josh's is a foul ball. Yours is more of a strikeout.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Are you kidding?
I whiffed.
I
I
ran
whiffed.
on the
He
court.
laughed,
I
though.
ran on
He
the
laughed.
field
He did
naked.
laugh.
Like
Yeah.
that was my.
That's a win.
Yeah.
The one little coda to the story though that's very interesting. One was he bought multiple copies of all the different Faces of Death that we had, like on video cassette. I
That
don't
was
know.
a popular thing though back in the day. Faces of Death.
Yeah,
Like, to
he
even
bought
find a
multiple
place.
copies. Like this is
Like,
his
it's
next
gonna
set of
run out.
presents.
Whoa.
These would make great gifts.
And
I
then
rented them.
And then the other thing was the next
Really?
day. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the movie Salo. It's
I've not, no.
It's a European film. I don't know anything about it because I didn't see it because it's apparently it's like horrific. It's like this some Italian director decided to make it. He wanted to make the most disturbing movie he could, so it's this thing that's like about concentration camps and it's like young people getting like horrible things happen to them. I won't even go into detail. I did like it just sounded horrible.
Right.
On Laserdisc or on?
It was on Laserdisc.
okay.
Yeah.
So of course you watched it.
I did not watch it, but when I come back the next day, it's sitting on our little work table area with a Post-it on it, and it says, "Returned by Michael Jackson," and then in quotes, "not his style."
That's awesome, dude.
Not his style.
You're like, what is?
Yeah.
Faces of Death, multiple
Faces
copies.
of Death, he held
knew
on
what,
to.
He knew what he was buying. You
Yeah.
don't buy multiples of something you don't
No.
know what you're buying.
No.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
No,
So that's a
not
crazy
his
story.
style.
Sorry.
Moving on a little
Yeah,
bit.
we should move on.
So let's. Sorry, I backtracked there, but we wanted to hear about.
No,
that.
it's
It's
pretty
a good story.
crazy.
So you were at Sony for how long?
For 9 years almost.
9 years, and
Yeah.
pretty consistent work throughout there.
Yeah, I worked. I counted it up, and there's the occasional blinker project where I did a Harrier jet on I Spy that was never used. So the little things like that.
Sure.
But I worked on 17 different movies or shorts or whatever while I was
That was
there.
our golden years, though. That was it.
Yeah.
Those were good years at ImageWorks. So.
Yeah, there's cool stuff. Like I worked on Stuart Little 2 was a fun production to work on. No one saw it, but it was actually we were all kind of happy with it. There's the movies that you like working on, but they might not be good movies. And then
Absolutely.
this one, we thought, hey, that's a good movie for kids. And I remember just everyone being pissed, what?
What happened?
Yeah. And then I worked on Spider-Man 2, which is another one that I was that was a fun experience, and it was I was happy that it was a good project to work on. And I worked on the Matrix sequels, which was okay to work on. I didn't like those movies at all. I really liked the first one, but and then a couple of little things. Then we got into the feature stuff, which was the thing that excited me the most. So I worked on Open Season and Surf's Up. And then I was an animation supervisor on Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
It's a great movie.
I love that movie.
That
That was
Oh,
a great,
nice.
good movie to become a soup on.
Yeah. That was a good experience. It was definitely a good learning experience, and
that
was cool.
I have to say, just hope this isn't too harsh, but I'm a big fan of a lot of stuff that Sony does
Sure.
in general. But that movie for me is probably the best thing that's come out of Sony. I
Oh,
think
cool.
personally, I loved that film.
Oh,
Really,
cool.
really fun.
Well, I love it always made me laugh in dailies. I love the humor of the directors, and they managed to keep it through a lot of changes. It was really impressive, and they were fun guys to work with. They were really, really cool guys, and so that was a good experience. And I was supposed to work on Hotel T, and that kind of just went through so many changes. That's when I
That was
decided to leave.
atrocious.
That was talked
Yeah,
about
so-
when we were there.
Yeah.
Hear about this.
So here you are.
That was there before, Open Season. At the same time, they were doing Hotel T.
Yeah.
So what time frame is it? Right around when you're thinking about leaving Sony? What
Yeah.
year is it?
So that was 2009. Was kind of when I was on Hotel T, and then I had decided I think this will be my last project at Sony, regardless of what happens. Just I've been here for almost 9 years already, and I was already starting to think this might
So you
be.
got to see the changes. You got to
I
see
saw
the
lots
layoffs
of changes,
and you
yeah,
got to-
multiple times, and it really went. I just didn't like the direction they were going in. I didn't like all the farming out to Vancouver, and it kind of there was a point there where it felt like quality was one of the lesser things they were focused on. It was kind of a bad word, even. So Hotel T was kind of a lot of guys I respected. We were all going to work together and hey, let's have one last project that we enjoy working on. And a lot other people I knew were sort of also thinking of leaving, just not necessarily because of Sony, but because you were at that stage. And then Hotel T kind of just went through all these changes that we didn't like, and so I decided, all right, well, I'm just going to move my schedule up and I'm going to quit. And I'd always had this project, Two-Headed Cop, had been, like I mentioned before, something I'd had since college, and it was my good friend Brian and I, we came up with it back then. It was originally a part of a contest that Hanna-Barbera, who was still around at the time, did, where you could enter the idea for a 7-minute short, and if they liked it, they would make 40 of them, and they would fly you out to California, and you'd get to direct it at their studio.
Wow.
So it was a really cool opportunity, and so we came up with Two-Headed Cop as the pitch, and it didn't get into the contest. They didn't like it, but one of the Hanna-Barbera people came through while we were still at school, and we just kind of pitched it to her, and she liked it. So she said, when you move out to LA, talk to us. And so we came out, and that's when we were like, oh, cool, we're going to be millionaires. We're going to have our own
gotta
show.
talk.
Yeah. and they kind of we went with them for a while, and ultimately they just decided, no, we don't like it. So it kind of went away, but Brian and I kept coming back to it. we kept developing it, and that was like 93. So it was like there's many years where we were like, well, let's keep it in. We developed it as a series, as like a half-hour series. So I wrote a pilot script that was like 30 pages, and we kept developing the characters, and we created a show bible. And like early on, like the film noir thing kind of got infused in it because I became a real fan of the genre, and it just seemed to fit really well with what we were doing. It's a really great style and aesthetic to like hang your hat on. Like with any project, you just suddenly have a template kind of.
It's focus.
Yeah. And it was good because it infused everything, and like suddenly we had a direction to go with some characters who might otherwise have not really had much direction to them. And so when it came time when I decided to quit, I had become good friends with this guy Kevin Freeman, who created this company called AnimationRigs.com. Who basically the whole idea is if you have a character design, you give it to him, and he's going to give you back. With some payment, he's going to give you back an animatable 3D rig, and and
So he'll model and rig it.
everything, yeah, and he'll look dev it and stuff, and so I had told him at one point, I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to do my own film, and he's like, dude, if I don't have like a pipeline set up for you by the time you leave, then I've failed. He was really serious because he was like had this pipeline he was developing, and I had this content that I wanted to create, and I was like, we should get together and do this. So he's been my right-hand man in terms of the production, and it's been awesome because he's been able to spend almost all of his time doing this, helping me build my characters, build the assets. So since I quit in Sony 2010, since then we've mostly been doing character designs and then building the characters. I've been doing all, with some other people doing all the storyboards to get the story in shape. And at this point, we just finished kind of. It's still a work in progress. Our first sequence, like through animation and lighting and everything. That was what we ramped up to do for Comic-Con. But it's a long short. It's like almost a half hour long. So with like 30 characters, it's kind of ridiculously
I know you said
naively
short, and
ambitious.
That's what blew me away. I didn't know if you were trying to go for like a full feature.
No, it's just it's a complex storyline. It's like the story basically is it's two-headed cop, and it's like this hard-boiled film noir. And these guys are total badasses. It's half Asian, half Caucasian, and we play with stereotype a little bit where the Asian guy's like kind of the smarter one, and he also plays more by the rules, a little more into honor and integrity, and the Caucasian guy is more of a lout, and he's a little more he'll push the rules a little bit, and he loves his gun. He always has the gun out when he can, just to like sort of open a beer or something like that. And so they're very much an odd couple. They know each other, but they together
They're infused.
are an incredible team. And so in the storyline, they basically get framed for a crime they didn't commit. Which the crime is there's this town entertainer who's like the most revered celebrity. He's called Happy Fat Guy, and he's this naked butterball of a man that's just called Happy Fat Guy who dances. He's sort of like, instead of having a femme fatale, we're like, let's make it a big fat guy that dances, and everyone loves him. So it's like this club, and everyone's like, yeah, Happy Fat Guy, we love you. And it's just, he's great. And so he gets attacked by a shadowy two-headed figure, and so he's kind of like fingers them in front of the chief of police, like they're the ones that did it. So it's this big complex frame up, and they have to get out of jail. They have to like go like be fugitives from their own police force and find the guy that did it and clear their name. And this is all like while like the whole town is against them because everyone loves this guy. So there's also an angry mob that gets worse and worse as it goes on. So by the end, they have everyone in the city against them, and they have to sort of like get out of it. So it's very film noir. It's like the where the hero is part of the crime he's solving.
And you have a great sequence up on Kickstarter for anybody listening, and we'll give that info to your Kickstarter page. But I thought it was awesome. I love the look, even the lighting, and
thanks.
Has that been the route you've gone since then?
Yeah, I mean that's like I wanted to look like kind of like old cartoons, like but its own style. Like I sort of when I pictured it, I always thought like it doesn't need to look CG. I'd rather have something much more stylized and flattened, and not necessarily tune shaded, but it's like it sort of became approximate to that without like the outlines and stuff like that. But I was telling Jason before, I've gotten a little, I feel like our industry has spent like 20 years perfecting photo or near photo real look, and they do it really well. and you have all these genius people and all like incredible technology, and it's like, God, what if like we took a quarter of that time and tried other looks? Like, think of what cool stuff would be out there.
Absolutely.
And I'm kind of just, I think, in a reactionary state almost at this point, where everything looks the same to me now, and I just thought, I would love to have a different look, and for me also it's just appealing. I like that film noir look, and the other thing is it's incredibly cheap to do it this way. Like, I remember being at, and that's just lucky. Like, I would try and do it this way regardless, but I remember when I was at Sony and we were in some digital dailies, and they were looking at the texture of the bottom of a shoe of a character that was going to be behind a bar. And they were like, and notes were given on the scuff marks on the bottom of the sole of his shoe. And I was just like, this is nuts. I remember the bottom of the inside of a trash can in a classroom was looked at for how I was like, that could be gray, I think. I think we can move on. And so, like, I don't ever want to do that. Like, I don't want to, like, when you look at the guy's jacket, it's not wool, it's blue. Because you know what? When you look at Bugs Bunny's fur, it's not fur, it's gray. It's
that's like the kind of thing. It's like it's animation. I mean, it's a chance to create a world that isn't bound by rules, and you can do what you want. Why would you force yourself into a box that's
exactly. It's very freeing because like I don't have to worry about, like, the only textures in it are on their faces. I don't have to worry about stuff stretching. We are much more free with how we rig it. We can have much lighter models because we don't need nearly as much polygons. So there's all these things you get when you do it this way, and I'm finding all these things out. I'm like, man, these studios knew they would just like another thing is, like, I don't plan on building any models for environments until we're done with layout. I'm going to do layout with just stand-in crap stuff, because then I have a camera moving through scene that I can give to the modeler with drawings after the fact, and be like, just make that part look good.
Right.
Yeah, you don't focus on the back.
Yeah. And it's like there's all these ways you can be efficient if you don't have to show a finished version to an executive before you start the sequence.
Sure.
Because that's the kind of thing where it's like you're doing this the right production way, where it's like the story, we're gonna nail down the front versus from what I've learned from animation through you guys, it's like it just seems like let's let every department run full speed.
Yes,
and then see what happens when they all come together. It's kind of a rough,
pretty accurate.
Where it's like
there's a catch-22 to that. From an animation standpoint, for animated movies, not live action,
right?
For schedule-wise, they kind of have to.
No, yeah, totally.
Because the number of assets that need to be generated, like, you can't. If you told modeling, just wait.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, I get it. Because you have all these, people, you have all
waiting.
this staff, these people that are you're being paid to just sit there.
But he is doing it smarter.
Exactly.
And it's 100%.
Well, but I can because I'm not.
Because you're not.
I'm working with freelancers, so they're doing something else on some other project, and then I'm like, okay, now I need you.
Yeah.
And
you could say, hey, look, in 2 months we'll be there and we'll be ready and blah blah blah. But
so there's two things definitely about it that immediately caught my attention and I really, really love. The first, which you were talking about, is that kind of tune shaded kind of look. And I definitely applaud you for doing something unique.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I agree. The challenge involved in doing something photoreal is certainly not worth the non-originality of it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's kind of like expected now with CG. So when something is different, it really does stand out. And I mean that in a great way. So I think it's really, really cool and clever, and I'm glad you're doing it that way. And then the second one, which I think just has to be talked about, is when you hear the title "Two-Headed Cop,"
right.
there's a picture that pops into your mind. There's a body and this character. And when I first heard the title, okay, this character has, 2 heads, 2 arms, and 2 legs.
Right.
And there's something that you've done with this character design, which is equally as brilliant to me, which is that your character doesn't have 2 legs.
No, he's got 3 legs.
Right.
Yeah.
Are they the same length? I mean, did you think through, like, Asian man, same length as...
He's skinnier.
But not shorter legs.
No, although I think they might, if you were to look at where they're the same length. Yeah,
okay.
They are the same length.
I think
it's a great model.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like here's what in my head I go, okay, so you're going to do 2 heads, you're going to do 2 arms, they share a torso, and then I don't want to do 2 legs. So I think, okay, well, you're going to have 4 legs. No, not you. You're like 3 legs.
Well,
like
it's
I've
But
never
it allows you to
seen
do some unique animation, is what I saw.
a
like,
three-legged, two-headed character is brilliant to me.
Thanks.
I
Well, it was
love
funny.
that.
There was we found we occasionally check and see who's been looking at the blog, and you can see what search methods were used. And someone did a three-legged, two-headed search, and there's another search. This is off topic, but another search was nursing and smoking at the same time. Because one of we have a character that's a carny.
Oh,
This
wow.
gypsy woman, and I mentioned to someone at Comic-Con, you see her and she's got these, she's like an old hag,
Stacked.
and she's smoking, but they're very droopy, and
So they're well out of the smoke, so it's not a concern for.
when you
whoever's-
first see her, she is nursing a baby and smoking a cigarette. It's just hanging out of her mouth. And I
So
tell people
you're
that they
I love you
catering-
come up in the search for that.
You're
so
catering.
someone really keyed in on someone. They were like, I gotta find that
No,
again.
You're catering to the fetish community out
Yes,
there.
yeah. There's the
nursing
fat
smoking search.
dude, chubby chasers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow,
dude.
that's,
Now-
the list goes on and on.
So here's a question. Obviously, this character has been in your mind since '93.
Yeah.
Do they use one urinal or two?
That's interesting. That was someone mentioned that would be a fun little animation to do.
it kind of with a bathroom scene.
Is
in
it probably
general.
better the trough situation like at stadiums?
Oh, that would be perfect. I prefer that too.
So you don't really know,
But, no.
so it's like this, like
Well, there's a lot of stuff about them that we kind of like.
because
You want to leave it like
Sure.
what the hell?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Because people
The,
came up and they're like, were they born that way? And I'm like, it's a cartoon. This
Yeah.
is how they are.
but like
Don't ask
you
those
are gonna
questions.
get
They-
questions.
Yeah. Oh
You
no,
are
it's like the Asian guy
absolutely-
has an Asian accent and the
Love
other guy
it.
doesn't.
Love
How
it.
is that possible?
That's
No, it's
fantastic.
brilliant. It's
separate
uh,
families,
it's
raised by
the-
separate
it's
families
the-
with a curtain.
It's the
Yes,
three
with a hard curtain.
It's the three seashells from Demolition Man. Is exactly what it is. It's that
I'm
giant. it's that-
unfamiliar with that reference.
Oh, it's a great
what
reference.
is that movie?
you know what I'm talking about,
Yes,
Josh?
100%.
I know-
Yes,
That was a
we're
great
going to throw
reference.
something out there, and the audience is going to feel unsatisfied with the movie simply because we never answered
We
this
never
one.
answered
It's a
this
simple
question.
question that has nothing to do with the film. I love it. It's
But
brilliant.
the three legs thing, though, I honestly again, it was a long time ago. We always drew them that way, and I think part of it was that's the best. It's the most interesting way, and sort of the most challenging way to make it so that if you were to sort of cover one guy with your hand, the other guy's pose looks natural, and then when you switch, it still works. So that middle leg has to do double duty in a way.
That's
So-
why I didn't look. I want to look back now, just from an animation
Yeah.
standpoint.
If you look at the
How are you
maquette,
animating the walk cycle of that
I just
middle leg?
put it up today.
Okay.
On
did
my
you?
blog,
Okay.
I was
Sweet.
like, because in the jail that's in there, but you can never see beneath his waist. So I was
And
like,
I was
and
like,
someone
oh,
was
he's
like,
cheating.
how's he walking with three legs? I'm like, yeah, I don't know, I did it. But
Oh, you
so,
did do it. I think
yeah.
honestly, when I looked at it, I would go, Derek,
Yeah,
you
cheating.
smart animator,
Yeah,
you.
it's like with Gumby when they'd hold a hand in front of their mouth while they talk, so you don't have to do the lip sync. But
No, but that maquette is awesome too.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that turned out amazing. I actually I posed him, and then we sent it to this guy named Hughes in China, this place called Pure Arts, and they modeled it, and it turned out awesome.
Oh, it
like
looks
we were
great,
so
yeah.
happy with that, and that's you can see in that. That what I'm talking about,
Right.
like C-Ray, we call him C-Ray and A-Ray, Caucasian Asian, and they're both named Ray because there's only one name on the birth certificate. But
So do they just go back and forth like, no, I love you, Schmoopy. And
No,
like,
well-
no, you, Schmoopy.
well, there's a couple of things like we don't worry about, like when they're like Ray, yeah, like it's not, it doesn't matter. And also, I routinely switch back and forth between saying he and they, and it just kind of depends on what feels right. Because
But each controls one controls the one arm, the other controls. It's
and
not,
then the middle leg is kind of up for grabs.
that's what I was wondering.
So there's a point where at one point they're fighting a like about 30 carnies at once in a haberdashery
That's awesome.
because the carnies are trying to steal top hats. They come in. And,
Okay, well, that right there is worth seeing. The
I
project.
think so.
Absolutely. Carney's trying to steal top hats.
Okay,
Three-legged,
there's
two-headed
some
carnies
carnies in the movie.
Is there
There's
some
all-
kind of bigger nefarious plan with these top hats? Or
Careful,
they just are
don't give too
super,
much away.
I don't want to spoil
these
it, but
carnies, there's a crime here, but they were in a way set up to be at this place for this larger framing that's happening, and the carnies really have nothing to do with it. They're like they see an open door and they're like they're going to
They're
steal
in.
what's in. They're
They're in.
carnies.
come on,
And so
small hands smell
yeah,
like cabbage.
yeah, exactly. So.
Circus.
So there's 30 of them in there, and they're fighting. And at one point, C-Ray gets knocked out during the fight,
oh, awkward.
and so it's Asian Ray
this is
with
brilliant.
a limp C-Ray who's got his gun in his hand.
Still,
And he like shakes him. He's like, "Oh shit!" And he looks around. They all start coming in, and he just goes crazy, and he's using the gun like he's just wheeling it
the
around
body
and
of
jumping
the other
around, so he
guy.
can use it like he's hitting people with the gun basically, and just jumping around.
C-Ray
and
just
everything.
he's
limp. He's a
unconscious,
rag doll.
but locks on.
Yeah,
I like
he's
it.
still holding it. Yeah,
Clearly.
yeah, so,
I like that.
And so he's got control of the middle leg still, and he's really using it, but that other leg's kind of dragging around, and so it's like we do a lot of stuff like that as much as we
awesome.
can.
So some things that I've heard from other people who've gone on to do their own shorts, and specifically one of the stories I heard about Nine, because I didn't even know this till I was working at DD, and I was working with some guys, one of which was a rigger, who I was talking, and we were talking about. I was like, "Wow, what'd you do before this?" Because we had some mutual friends. He was like, "I was on Nine." I went, "No, I thought he just did that by himself." He goes, "No,
Yeah.
because these projects you can start on your own, but they become greater than you even anticipated,
Yeah,
and eventually
yeah.
Okay, I need to bring people on,
Yeah.
and I can't do as much as I want to do. And I'm sure maybe in your case too, with you guys, it's like I want to do everything. It's my baby. I want to hold on to it. But where are you at now with that? Are you still able to animate a lot? Or are you now just letting other people run with it?
I've really gone through the whole thing. Like I knew I wouldn't be able to do everything because it is really like it's crazily large.
It's a lot of work,
scale.
yeah.
It's like with all the characters. Also, I don't. There's people who are better at these things than me. So like the modeling and stuff, I definitely other people should model, other people should rig, and rigging is not fun anyway. But at the same time, I found that my hand was on everything. Like I would touch up models, I would touch up storyboards, I would do textures, I would do everything. I wrote code like in Mel to like do facial rigging and all that stuff. So I did everything, and I did some animating, and then the more I would do that, the more I was like, I should not be doing any of this. Like and it was frustrating because I would enjoy it to a certain extent, but
you want the best for your project.
yeah. Directors should be in meetings all day. They really should. Like that's the director's job. They should be just telling people what works and what doesn't, and not creating anything. And so, but it's I can't do that. It's a small project. It's it's basically it's me. It's my money. It's everything. It's just me. So, and then the animation rigs and him and Kevin Freeman, and then I have some storyboard guys helping me out. I had this fantastic character designer named Anna Wilkenfeld, who I found on DeviantArt and just loved her stuff, and she's designed all the characters.
Wow.
So that was like just really lucky because her art for me was the least derivative of anything else, which is what I was really excited about. Like it didn't look like anything else to me, and is also infused with humor, which I was like, that's what you want. And
Right.
So
Was that an active search through?
I looked for days and days, doing that thing where you're like, let's see what this guy's favorites are. Okay, let's see what that guy's favorites are.
You were way down the rabbit hole.
I was way down the rabbit hole, and I realized I was following the wrong rabbit hole. I'm into muscle men and superheroes. I got to get out of there. And occasionally I'm like, wait, it's all furries. Oh God, I got to get out of this.
I've gone too deep.
Yeah. So
Red pill.
I had to find the humor thread and go that way.
And is she local? Is she not local?
She was in Australia. And we were mostly communicating by email, and then she actually eventually moved to San Francisco, and I finally met her at one point, which was awesome.
After how long before you even...
after a year and a half.
Wow, that's freaking...
It was cool. So it's amazing that all this
the
stuff...
internet.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So let's talk briefly about logistics here for a second.
Yeah.
So you end your career at Sony,
Yeah.
and you decide that you're going to do this project for yourself, and you just mentioned that it's yours. It's your
Yeah.
baby. You're directing it.
I'm financing
You're
it.
financing it.
Yeah.
What does that look like? I mean, I hope this isn't too pointed of a question here, but how long did you have to save your money, and how starving are you right now?
No, this is the thing.
You really inhaled that
MasterCard,
bowl
Visa,
of
and American Express.
Yeah.
that bowl of the snacks.
That's
yeah.
true.
This is breakfast. No, this is this is what drove some people crazy, including one of your last guests, Chris Williams, who I knew at Sony. He loved the fact that at Sony, I always forgot to do the direct deposit. And so I was one of those guys that had to go pick up my paycheck. And he would be like, hey, you got 4 paychecks up there. I'm like, oh, yeah, I keep forgetting about those.
That's this kid.
That's
and
what
his
I did
kid
too.
would do it.
It would
For the
drive
longest
him.
time.
It would drive him nuts because
Me
he was like,
too.
I need that, and so he's got 2 kids and he's got a mortgage. I don't have kids. I don't have a mortgage. I never have, and I just somehow I'm not I don't think I'm a cheapskate. I just somehow I have a nice TV
Thrifty.
and stuff. I just somehow don't spend. I'm not interested in spending, so I manage we all know like it's a good paying job in this industry, like, you know, animation, CG, they're like, and I've been in it for a long enough time, and I was like, eventually I guess I'll buy a house. So I was saving. I was doing a lot of saving, and then I was just like, I'd rather if you know, I've said this before a couple times, but looking back at the end of my life, if I've never owned a home, I really won't care. I really won't care.
Neither does a dead person.
Yeah. But if I've never made this film, I'd be really bothered by that. So I was like, well, then I should buy this film. So I'm going through my savings. I haven't worked for over 2 years.
And it's been exclusively just two-headed cop.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me.
So, and I can go for a little while longer,
that's
but
crazy.
the whole thing with the Kickstarter campaign was,
yeah, tell us about that.
I can't go forever, obviously, and basically
I didn't make that much.
I would like to be able to finish the film before I have to go back to work. I don't think that's going to happen. I think I'll have to go back, but the whole idea behind the Kickstarter was to try and make that possible, and also more importantly, I have to pay certain people to do this.
Right.
Now I have a lot of really wonderful friends, coworkers, and peers who have really good attitudes and are really believe in the project and believe in me and like volunteer their time. And I managed to get the sequence I did done for free in terms of animation. I had people volunteer who were just awesome, and they were like such pros. Like for working for free, I was still giving them all kinds of notes and all this, and you know, and like they were great about it. There was never like and also it was like a guy in London, a guy in North Carolina, a guy in New York, a guy in San Francisco. So it was like working online like that, and but I can't do that for 30 minutes of animation. It's under 30 minutes, but so the whole, because I think you need to pay people as much as possible, and I think it's better for their state of mind. It's better for your state of mind. I think they deserve it, and so my whole idea was that this Kickstarter campaign, all the money would go exclusively to pay the animators, because for me that's kind of the most important part of the project. It's the most work intensive part of the project, and so the idea was I whatever the total would be, I'd just divide it by the footage and pay by the second. And it's not going to be what they'd make at a studio.
Yeah.
But it's something that like, hey, I did 10 seconds of animation. I'm going to get a couple $1,000s. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, so that was the idea behind that.
That's
behind
cool.
the
That's a cool way to do it.
Yeah.
So tell us about the Kickstarter. So it's currently going on right now.
It's going on right now. We did a 30-day Kickstarter campaign, and I think we have 9 days left. Right now, it is not looking very promising. We wanted to raise $150,000, and which for any listener that doesn't get it, that's not any money at all. For an
animated
film, that is nothing.
What did Last DreamWorks one cost?
Yeah, about 10 times that much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like $1 million a minute was the sort of the standard for a while, but that's for everything. This is just for animation, but even that. It really would need, if I was going to do a studio production, like at least $1 million to pay animators for their time.
Right.
But so it's 150 right now. We're at like 11%. We're at like 16, a little over 16,000. I think we did a good job with our PR. We launched it at the same time as Comic-Con. We had a lot of great reactions at Comic-Con, and I've managed to get some interviews with some online stuff and some cool notices and stuff like that. I just think for some reason we haven't had that breakthrough with a crowd where we've hit like the right group of people, or it's maybe just a little bit odd enough that it's not like people don't know what to make of it. Or
that's where I was sort of at with it. I thought maybe if anything would be anything that was holding it back. Is it just on the cusp?
Yeah,
of missing,
which is where you want it to be,
audience.
but you need it
I know.
That's
be that because I can't really feel bad about it. Like but it's it's disappointing.
Yeah.
But I think so. We afterwards we did a lot of research on Kickstarter and the stats on right ways and wrong ways and
what makes what. And
what most
succeeds
successful ways to do things. And the 30-day one was the most successful. And that's kind of the reason we went with that over a 60 or 90.
Do you get to pick between those 30, 60, 90?
Yeah, and. After the fact, Chris Hurt, who's an animator on it, and also he's a good friend of mine who's been just helping me with a ton of stuff, and he's been kind of my PR guy. He was like, maybe because it's not a known property, it's not this. We needed more time to get people just sort of used to the idea.
Yeah, and you just need that one good the video ended up somewhere that was,
Yeah.
you just
That
need
one good podcast that you're
That
That-
one
just that-
good
that one good
podcast
Nerdtastic.
guy.
that reaches dozen of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah, dozen.
What, tens of people have
Yeah.
been reached.
10 people.
But we had at Comic-Con, this is like one of those ones where like, this is it. Like it was at Comic-Con, this guy comes by the booth, he's just nodding his head and smiling, and I go up to him and he's got this kid's there, and he's like, well, this is awesome, I really like this. He's like, what, is this going to be a film? And I hand him our Kickstarter information card. He's like, oh, okay, Kickstarter, I got you. All right, cool, man, cool. And he just went on, and that was Glenn Mazzara, the showrunner for AMC's The Walking Dead, the guy, the executive producer, and he like dug it. And then in his diary for Comic-Con, he mentions it. He says, "Idea I wish I'd thought of, two-headed cop." And we were like,
We're
sending
done.
that out to everyone and everything. It was, I mean, regardless, that's
gotta
just so
jump on
cool.
it. Yeah, you
It's
gotta-
really
that's
cool.
amazing.
I
Well,
mean,
it's that kind of like, I mean, if you're aware that, okay, you missed something missed on Kickstarter, but
Yeah.
like there are people out there
who dig it?
that are making very successful properties and are very,
Oh, right, yeah.
that like Guy Walking Dead's like, man, I wish
Yeah,
I would have
no,
thought of that. And it's a very, at least pat on the back in the right
no,
direction.
and like just literally like sitting with my back to our thing when I was sitting at Comic-Con and seeing people walk by and mouth the words two-headed cop and then kind of smile, like that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
Yeah, I think
And-
you've got something really interesting when not knowing the title at all. You just look at the maquette or the character design, and people go, "That's interesting.
Yeah,
That's cool."
Yeah.
Like it's just the reaction you get is a positive reaction from the get go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Regardless of knowing anything about the story, the look,
Yeah,
anything. It's
exactly.
just that character is so. That's so unique. It's so interesting. So
I
I
think
it's really,
that's the thing. I think it's just a matter of getting people to see that video you have on Kickstarter, because like I said, I thought it was awesome. I thought it was great
thanks.
that you were able to put together at least that scene
Right.
to give a taste of what it was going to be like and feel like.
Right.
That's what sold me is like,
cool.
all the models are cool, but until you see it, and you know how that goes, until you see it moving,
Yeah.
and the animation in there, and how these guys are going to move, and how do they talk, and actually on that note, like how's that been, like as far as getting actors and whoever, are you doing some of the voiceover work? How's that been?
I did.
Hey, Ray?
I did the guards.
Did you?
I did the
Yeah,
dumb
yeah,
guards
yeah.
laugh,
There
and I
it is.
did the knock it off, and then for the last one, I redid it, and I like channeled somehow Kirk Douglas, and what are you gonna do? And but then I a very good friend of mine named John Mathot, who I went and lived with him for 2 weeks when I first moved to LA. That's how long I've known him, and I went to school with his brother, and he's been in the industry for a long time. He's done a lot of his own little projects and pitched a lot of stuff, and he's made a lot of cool Flash animation stuff, and so he's done voice work for his own stuff and helped out other people. So I knew he'd be great, and we went through this SAG nightmare because we decided we were going to be a SAG production.
Okay.
And and that took a lot longer than I thought it would, and so I just wasn't able to get the voices I wanted in time for Kickstarter or in time for Comic-Con. So I was like, John, could you do this? And he was into it. He thought it was fun, and I knew we'd have good voices for it. It's not the voices I actually want. It's not like exactly how the characters would sound, but I thought they were good for what we were doing. And
Who did you want for the Asian cop?
well,
Lopan?
John Cho.
I never got an actor for I never had one in mind. Now I actually went through an agency. They're called CESD. I don't know what the acronym stands for. It's just names, but and had really good success with them and actually finding people they represented that are specialized. They just do a lot of voice work. And one was Fred Tatasciore, who's done a lot of stuff, and he became my choice for C-Ray. And it's just this great. He's a big guy, and he's got this like deep nasally thing. And then I honestly I can't remember the name of the actor that we got for Asian Ray. It's been a while since we picked them, because then we went through this whole SAG nightmare of like trying to become a SAG production. That was a lot. Like,
Was there any reason you wanted to go SAG?
because I felt we'd have the best access to voices that way.
Okay.
I didn't want to limit our choices. Now, my initial choice for C-Ray was Dennis Farina. Who's got that awesome Chicago accent. He's in Get Shorty and Midnight Run. He's awesome in Midnight Run. And but I never came up with a dream actor for Asian Ray. There's a bad guy in the film that I'm not even going to discuss, but for his name or for his voice, we wanted Brian Cox.
Oh yeah,
It would be awesome.
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, SAG.
Brian Cox drunk from Super Troopers.
I never saw Super Troopers.
Wow.
I'm sorry, everyone.
You need to make time for
Yeah.
that.
We should probably stop. The
You know what? I
podcast
tell you what,
now and
yeah.
watch it and then
the
come back.
the first 30 minutes of it, at least make time for it.
Yeah.
And make sure you have pancakes with maple syrup when you watch it.
Okay.
You got to open your throat. Come on, Rabbit.
I'm sure you've heard tons of quotes since.
Got you good, you
about that
fucker.
movie. But that's the thing with those projects, and I'm sure you're doing them, but in your head you're like, I picture this voice.
Yeah.
And I got to get that guy.
Yeah. And like it's I was still kind of open. Like I was like, yeah, there was just a lot of, if I heard the right one, I'd be cool, but I wasn't hearing it for a while.
Right.
So yeah, we're gonna basically, I have a few more sequences that need to get storyboarded, and then what I want to do is try and do this the right way and actually look at the whole story, see what works and what doesn't, cut out what I can, and then record all the voices once, and like with a locked story.
Good for you.
And
Good for
so
you.
that's gonna happen. Yeah, so
There's a
that's-
unique idea.
Yeah. So because I mean,
Have the
here's
story you
thing,
wanna
like,
make before you
I'm
start
paying
making
for all of this.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Why not do it? Why not
these-
do it
So
smart?
the SAG actors, they get 800 and something a day.
So let's do it in a day.
Yeah, and
Well,
but,
and they do sometimes.
yeah, but
You
here's
say-
the
they
thing.
do
That's why
shoot
I'm like, so
that.
I don't want to record even, like for the Comic-Con, it would have taken an hour to record that, but I would have had to pay them for a day.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So
let's
I'm
get
like-
a- let's get
so
a
I was just
day's
like,
work.
I'm going to use the temp guy, and we will do that when I'm doing everything else, and
Yeah.
we'll fit as much as we can into a day. And so yeah,
So what's next? What's I mean, you said you get 9 days left in the
yeah,
on the Kickstarter, and you got a little ways to go. You said
Yeah, we got a ways to go.
89% of my math. is right.
89%.
and Kickstarter works. We've discussed this on the show before, but if you don't reach your goal, then
You
it
get
doesn't.
nothing.
Right.
What's the fee? Like, how does that work? How
You
does
get you give Kickstarter 5% of the total, and Amazon 5% because Amazon handles the payments.
only if
If
it
you
makes
make
it?
it,
So
yeah.
like if it fails, I mean,
This is the loss. We didn't win the lawsuit. The lawyers don't get anything.
Right.
So yeah, like basically we're and I agree with that all or nothing. As if I were someone giving money,
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I wouldn't want to
Oh,
be
yeah.
the guy that gave like $1,000 and when it's or say $50 for a project that's supposed to reach 10 grand and only reaches like 52, and then and like, oh cool, thanks for the $52. I can't make the project, but I am gonna have a fun dinner tomorrow night on
Yeah,
you.
right,
You know,
right.
so I kind of agree with the all or nothing thing. Even though right now I'm like, oh, it'd be nice to get that 16 grand. That's
that really would have helped out with me getting a little further on it.
yeah.
And we've
It would've.
Got you out of a couple jams.
couple of jams.
And we've discussed on the show before, but I don't know that we've ever heard an answer that makes a lot of sense yet. Is in the event that you do get fully funded,
Yes.
and what ownership is there, or what responsibility is there on the part of the content creator to actually deliver?
There seems to be no.
Like, let's say you get
actual policing of that.
yeah,
through
so like
Kickstarter.
if you get $150,000 that
Yeah.
you make in the next 9 days, what stops you from going, great, now I'm going to buy a house?
F
This
all of
whole
you,
thing was-
there's literally nothing to stop you from doing it that I'm aware of, because I think I've even heard of people sort of like, I got another 10 grand to do with what I want, like people who are doing that on purpose, and that's
scary.
Yeah, that's very
and
scary.
unfortunately, like thankfully that hasn't really kind of reached a real kind of watershed moment where suddenly everyone is like outraged,
Right.
Because
Kickstarter's done. The
Yeah,
second
it
that
is.
gets a-
There's been a lot of great projects.
there's been a
that
lot of really
have
cool projects
happened,
that are successful, and the people have gotten their rewards,
and they're being legitimate. The
everything.
guys
Yeah.
aren't like, hey, we
They
made
have, everyone's got the
triple-
best intentions, and so
Hopefully those bad eggs in there.
there's no. That's the interesting thing. There seems to be no policing mechanism for that, and I think there is none.
So I obviously wasn't here on the last podcast when we did Kickstarter. Has anybody put money towards a Kickstarter?
Yes.
What did you do?
I did the high school video game
Oh, with Freddie
show
Wong.
with Freddie Wong. I did.
Oh, that thing made a shit ton.
what one was that? Because I know the video games have been very successful.
No,
Well,
it
it
was
wasn't a video game. It was Freddie Wong is kind of like it's a group of guys and they just do visual effects. They're like YouTube guys,
Yeah.
and Every week they have a new video that come out, and they have their own little studio.
Crazy subscriptions, like insane.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the highest subscribed YouTube pages.
Like them and a couple of other people that kind of do the same thing, like kind of got together, and they wanted to do kind of like a web series, and it was, I don't know how many episodes it is, but it was just basically a high school that is, made for you go to play video games and learn video games, and it's a video game high school.
Okay.
So I put maybe $15, I think, towards that.
Like near like one of the lower ones.
Yeah, it was just so I can get the HD downloadable things at each episode, and my name in the credits as a.
I think
LeBravo's in there.
Yeah. I think the thing that amazes me most, if you look at the Kickstarter stories, especially the last year, is the real power that blogs have, that they hold.
Yeah.
That is the modern day turn of the 19th century newspaper. You know what I mean? This is where people go. They go to blogs to get their information on what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the example I use of this is, we were talking, I think we haven't mentioned it on the show yet, but over the last several weeks, there's been this gaming console, this open source gaming console based on the Android platform called Ouya, Ouya.
Something like it.
And they set out with the goal of doing $900,000 to make their project, to make this thing a reality. It was going to be a $100 gaming console. One of the chief designers of it is the guy who designed the original Xbox. And $900,000, and I believe there's still a couple of days left on the project, and to date they've raised somewhere close to $5 million. And what was interesting for me is not to say wow, that's really successful, because the other one we've talked about on the show is the Double Fine adventure from the guys up in San Francisco, the creators of Monkey Island and Grim Fandango.
Yeah, that was the other release.
Totally blanking on their name not Ron Gilbert. Ron Gilbert was one of them. Anyways. Not necessarily the level of success that they've had, but actually the story of watching them go from, hey, here's this thing, you can maybe find it on mentioned on one blog, and then to go, hey, we've got a couple $1,000s that we've raised, and then within a matter of a day or two, it hits every major blog or every major area that has to do with that particular content, and out of nowhere, you've reached this wide audience, and it just attracts people to want to be able to get into it. But it's that viral mentality of how fast something spreads.
Well, you get that ridiculous, because I looked at the page and it had a lot of pretty low buy-ins, like pretty low thing, and you're like, all I need is a handful of people that are like, $10, whatever, like if I sell this product up on the shelves and it's this open system and anybody can make for it and. Anybody can develop, and it's this totally customizable thing. $10, sure. Let's see what happens, and you get whatever 10,000, and you're all of a sudden.
There is something else that we found can make it a success. That's sort of outside of that, and it's a little bit like what you're saying there, but it's in the actual rewards you get itself. Like there was one guy that made an iPhone dock. That he was saying these old iPhone docks suck. They're plastic, they're light. When you try and pick up your phone, it comes up with it.
Yeah.
I'll make this metal one that's sort of nicely crafted and everything like that. And I think he was asking for $75,000 and he got $1 million. And the reason being was that it was basically effectively a pre-order. Everyone, regardless of whether or not you liked that guy, or you thought he was cool, or you believed in him, or it's I would love to have that. And look, it's only $25 if I order it now. I'll buy that. And obviously, yes, he still did have to get the word out, but it's that reward. Why? What else would keep driving it over the thing? It's not because cool, he's a success. It's sort of that many people want it, and that's the same. I think with the video game ones, there's something about I'd love to purchase that video game.
There's a very tangible thing where it's there's been a couple iPhone cases that I've thought about where I've and especially one now where they're on the verge of this next iPhone where one's for $140 you get 2 of this, and when we make the next iPhone you get that one,
right?
And so it's okay, holy shit, here's this, it was one of those ones that's completely indestructible and whatever. But it's that very, very tangible. Yeah. I'd probably buy that anyway. So why not throw in $100 that I don't, if it doesn't get it, I don't lose it. But if it gets it, I make it. Yeah,
we've talked about it though too, I think, where the thing with the console thing is it's kind of scary because it's a prototype, essentially. You know, and that's what it is. You know, it's like we have a great idea. We've made one. You know, it's just like this is like,
it's
that
theoretical.
Kind of.
You know,
made
so
one,
you know
I think.
that's
Like,
the
it's not
kind
even-
of big dangerous thing where it's just like you're expecting this product. You're expecting to get, you know, I've given you my money, you know, okay, this and that. And it's just like, we will send you this kit. We will send you this. We will send you that. It's like, cool. And then a year goes by. It's just like, we're a little bit behind schedule, you know, this and you know, you have, that's the real kind of danger and kind of scary part about, I think, you know, the technology side of Kickstarter with those things.
Especially if there is no legitimate, you know.
Yeah.
Because I will say, because I've done one Kickstarter project, and it was a guy that was 2 or 3 years younger than me at film school, and it was his senior film, and I was like, you know what, I've got a job now. I think the max was like $200, and he was trying to raise like $4,000. It wasn't much,
Right.
and so that was 3 years ago. I've seen nothing,
Yeah.
you know, and I'll Facebook him every once in a while. I'm like, hey,
Where's my stuff?
what's up?
What were you supposed to? What was your?
It was like
what were you supposed to
everything.
get?
It was like copy, credit, you know, script, blah blah blah.
Oh,
you
for
know,
your $200. You gave $200.
oh, I gave $200. I was like, you know what? Honestly, I loved I mean, that school, I would not have changed anything, and if I can do anything for anybody, you know, coming up from that school, I would do it. And this was one that kind of came across, and I was like, you know what? I've got a job now. $200, it's fine. And so he raised it, and it's legitimately, I Facebooked
my
him.
executive
I
producer
Facebooked him
credit?
like a couple weeks ago. He's like, yeah, you know, hard drives crashed. You know, I'm in the middle of edits, and I'm like, it's mostly not just a joke because I don't care.
Yeah.
But I'm just like,
But it's still going.
but it's like I will continue to hound this guy because
'Cause it's
I
fun.
gave you
That's
$200
exactly- yeah.
and you promised me shit.
You have bought the right to hound him.
I
for
yeah, like
$200.
like
really
you
have.
know, I legitimately, and I'm happy to support it, and he shot it, and it's awesome. Whatever. I mean, I don't know if it's awesome. It could be crap. I haven't seen anything.
But at least he's doing it, you know?
He tried, and so
Yeah.
I just it's that funny thing.
Or
where
did
it's
he?
like-
Or did he?
Frankly,
don't know.
you know, and it was kind of thing where it was like weekly. There were going to be weekly updates, and there were going to be
course,
weekly
of course.
things, and I know how student films go, and you just everything goes into it, and it's. I mean, hell, every production goes. You're like, yeah, we'll do this, and it's like, let's just get it done. Screw everybody else.
So Derek, what's the what are the rewards for you? Tell us about
Okay,
the
so
system that you've
the smaller ones, like the we have $1 reward which is like a silent thanks. You know, thank you for your $1, and or just
You're giving it to them
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Derek's thanking everyone who's given $1
yeah,
right now on the
it's
show.
happening right now.
You got that even if they don't make money, so
Yeah.
you're welcome.
So
Freebie.
So and then we have like I think the 15 is and I don't know all these by heart, but I know we have a digital download of the finished film. I think that's at the 25 level. You can get a DVD or a Blu-ray of it as you go up further. There's a poster, an as yet to be designed poster, which is exciting. And then we have a bunch of stickers and postcards, which we do already have. We had down at Comic-Con. That's sort of like just all this, you know, fun little stuff that for the lower end. T-shirts that we already have. And then as it goes up at the $100, we have if you're an animator, you can get one of the rigs and an environment and props. And just
That's kind of cool.
animate it,
that's
and
fun.
have for a
That's
film
kinda
of your
really-
own. And
That's kind of interesting.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
I think it's cool. I think we've
Unique concept.
greatly limited our audience for that. So we've been sort of thinking of an add-on, and we
Add on that
But rightfully so, because you would never see DreamWorks or Disney. You wouldn't see Disney give away the Rapunzel rig, or DreamWorks
right.
certainly isn't going to hand anybody
and
Shrek for $100.
This would be one of the carnies that you get to play with. So I think it would be who we call the little carny, which is it's a little fellow that's got
Okay.
a baseball bat.
Okay.
And
Good for him. Good for him.
So and then they get better at 250. We have basically call the shot, which is you basically were saying you're funding one shot, and when it's done, we're going to do a flip book for you and send you a still from it that I'll sign and all that stuff. But you
very
funded this shot.
Oh,
and
very
That's
cool.
cool.
we just thought conceptually it was kind of a fun thing.
Yeah, it's
You
kinda
can-
neat.
You know, you own that part of the film
Yeah.
in a way.
Huh.
And then original artwork from my character designer is also the 250.
Maquette's in there somewhere, right?
Maquette's at 300. And
Just well worth it. Is a very cool maquette.
the maquette's awesome. Like and then we have what we call the early bird trifecta, which is there's still some of, which is if you give if one of the first 5 or 10 to do 400, you get the call the shot original artwork and the maquette for 400.
Oh wow!
And then
Very
there's
cool.
the other trifecta, which is at 600 after that runs out. At $3,000, you send in a photo, and you are now going to be an extra in the film. We're going to build a rig, build a model, and everything, a caricature of you, and you'll be in 40s garb, walking around in the background somewhere. You know, why I oughta. You won't be talking or anything, but
That's extra.
yeah, that's definitely extra. And then as it goes up, you become a producer and an executive producer. You get to greenlight things. You get to boss me around. You know, so it goes up. To
Now
the
you're talking my language, sir.
5,000.
What's it going to cost to buy you out?
When do I get a slap
go to
in the
wrap
face and say,
party,
"That's stupid"?
Go to the premiere.
What's
that
your
kind of stuff.
highest?
10,000.
10,000, and that's premiere.
That's premiere. Yeah, it's kind of everything. Oh, and I'll fly to a city in the U.S. or Canada and have a Q&A with a screening of the film.
Very cool.
That's cool.
Um,
So is it?
what's
It's
that- go
sorry.
ahead.
I was just say, is it like? I mean, these Kickstarter things. It's the levels. It's legitimately whatever you want to do, right? I mean, is there? I mean, when you're going through and you're putting them out, when it's these tier things and it's this
Yeah.
trifecta, is it like? Is there a plug and play?
We looked
thing on
at we
Kickstarter?
looked at a lot of the Kickstarter is so wild west right now. There's no like established like sort of criteria rules or like even like sort of rule of thumb. You know, there really isn't.
It's,
So
it's
we
like,
looked at a lot of past campaigns, and we really wanted to legitimately make it feel like what you're getting for your money felt right.
yeah.
You know, the maquette we were going to have a little bit higher, and we came down a little bit on that because, you know, even though we are raising money, and you get like some of the lesser things along with it.
Yeah. You get what's before it kind of thing.
Yeah, but we just want to make sure you felt like you're getting your money's worth and getting something out of it, and so you know, it's but there is no real like plug and play thing.
Yeah.
You just have to kind of come up with the money amounts, and you can see like there's some weird ones where people have all these weird. People have like 50 of them, and it's like for $15.20 you'll get, you know, like it just goes up at these tiny increments, and I don't know how helpful that is.
No, I don't think it
more.
is.
We'll send you a plastic spoon.
Yeah.
Jeez, that is crazy.
So it's probably about that time where we should start winding down
really?
the show. A couple of things before we wrap up. First and foremost, we need to definitely mention our weekly challenge. So, Derek, you probably don't know this, but we started a while ago a weekly challenge where we challenge ourselves and our listeners to accomplish something random every given week. We've done stuff from tip somebody higher than you normally would to spread a little bit of kindness, to
That's
high
nice.
five random strangers.
I like that too.
Show somebody other than someone else in this podcast a magic trick during the week.
Wow.
Usually,
Forgot about that one.
usually you have a single week to
Accomplished.
do 10 push-ups. I think
15.
was one.
15
15
without stopping. Could you do it right now, Derek? Could you?
15?
Yeah.
I doubt it.
And that's what we all all when that challenge came out.
I'm in the worst shape of my life. Thanks, animation.
So we
So true.
we mixed it up slightly about a month ago, pretty close to a month ago, where we decided that we were actually going to take 30 days, and we were going to try and collectively, the 5 of us, were going to try and achieve 5,000 gamer score as a group.
Wow.
Using any methods that you can.
Which I know you're not a gamer. That's on for Xbox.
Okay.
Xbox Live. Each game comes associated with points and achievements they get when you play a game, and you can accrue points, which is not an easy task.
Yeah, so definitely a challenge. So it's been a lot of fun, and we're actually not going to talk too much about it tonight because our end date for that is actually midnight this coming Saturday, which is 4 days from now. Is that right?
Sean, are you listening?
Adam's
4 days from
birthday.
It's a lot of pressure.
No, not
Mine's
Ad-
the
it
4th.
is. Yeah, it is Adam's birthday. Yeah,
And then
days from
going
now?
into Angie's.
Who knows? Can't remember.
mine's a third.
It's just one
Today's the
after
first,
another.
right?
Yep. So we're gonna, unless you want to add.
Yeah, I
something
want to give
briefly.
I want to give a special shout out to our sponsor, Golden Road Brewery,
Absolutely.
For,
Golden Road.
It's a,
for bringing us a nice Hefeweizen.
it's a delicious beer, and I can heartily recommend it.
And
There it is. Stamp of
Once
approval.
Yeah.
again, local brewery, and definitely check it out if you're in the Glendale area or in SoCal, I believe.
Definitely.
It's
Thank
quite
you
good.
so much. We're definitely happy to have you as a part of our honorary crew here. So as we wrap up, I just wanted to give you a chance, Derek, to kind of put you on the spot for a second. And you are doing something which I think a lot of us really admire. You are taking, I think one piece of advice we have all gotten in this industry is if you get into an industry, a creative industry, where you are doing a job that is a creative job, you will never truly be creatively satisfied with your material because there's always, no matter what position you're in, somebody who has creative oversight over you. Even if you were an executive, you answer to your shareholders of your company.
Right,
there's always someone that you answer to. And so the one piece of advice we've all gotten in our career is if you want to truly be creatively satisfied, you need to have something that's yours, something outside of work that you can still use your skill set for that is yours. And I just completely applaud what you're doing, man. I mean, it's so incredibly amazing that you've saved up your money. You came to this realization that this is something that's important to you in life, and you're going for it. And what I want to put you on the spot for is for people like myself out there who have passion projects that we'd love to get started one day. What would be your advice? If you could sit down and try and tell people something, steer them in a direction, what might that be?
I think you have to. It's really important to understand yourself as much as possible and be realistic about who you are. Like, you're not gonna suddenly find the extra 2 hours in the day that you haven't found for the last 20 years. It's not gonna happen. And but you have to know that and understand it and accept it. And like you really just have to understand who you are. I know that I'm a good procrastinator, and I have to work with that. And like, there's no getting around it. I just have to make sure I do something about it or actively work with it. But so when you need to figure out a way to do something outside of what your normal schedule is, you have to play to your strengths and know, try and figure out a way to make it work for you. Work with kind of within who you are, and then the other thing is you have to, you really have to be ready to believe in yourself, like through really lonely, shitty times, and it helps as much as you can to make sure you have people that are there that support you, be it friends, wife or girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever, but. Like, it is a huge deal that I have these friends that have like kicked in for me, like, and support me and that believe in the project. And it's like, it's amazing how far that will get you, when you might be at a low or something like that, especially on a project that is going to be a big ordeal. Mm-hmm. I mean, it depends on what you're talking about, but it's like, if, and for me, like with procrastinating, I knew that this thing happens with me. If I simply just make myself, like, say with storyboards, just do one storyboard tonight. Just do one. Like, draw one storyboard. And then tomorrow just do another one. And it'll seem a little bit like a chore at first. But after a while, it gets to the point where I'm, like, coming inside, going directly to my office, turning on my lamp, and I'm just boarding, and I can't wait to be there. And it's sort of like... No, and I knew that about myself. So I had to push myself to do things like that. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is you just have to understand yourself and know what you're capable of, and don't fight it.
That's amazing advice. Two-Headed Cop, and we are definitely looking forward to it. Currently on Kickstarter, 9 days left. Yeah. You have plenty of opportunity to invest and hit some of the big prizes.
Big stuff.
I'm literally
big
doing
rewards.
it right now.
Awesome.
What up?
Awesome.
Love it.
I literally thought his first piece of advice would be like, don't get married, don't have kids, and you too can achieve your goals.
Probably don't get a house.
Yeah. You know what?
Dump all that and you're in.
You know what? Yeah.
So-
Don't buy a house. That is a really good piece of advice.
We are definitely entertainment veterans here in this podcast, and we've been lucky to have some amazing guests on the show, and we cannot thank you enough. And
thank you guys. I
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun.
Definitely.
from the bottom of our heart, honestly, we're really excited for your project.
Oh, thanks.
It
I
really
really
looks super fun and unique, and we wish you the best of luck. And
Hopefully have you back after
I'd love to.
after it's greenlit. And,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely,
out
yes.
there.
Once you have made your billions of dollars and you need some
want to donate to our Kickstarter.
crowds animators, and you'd like it to be in stereo, you
We got
definitely...
you
Well, if you just want to
Absolutely.
pay somebody to hang out,
That's cool.
This guy, this guy.
you got that nailed down.
Nailed it. Really, our 10 listeners, seriously, just looking for something.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Nerdtastic in 3D, episode number 35. My name is Jason Carter.
I'm Jack Eckler.
Adam McFarlane.
Josh the Broad.
And I'm Derek Friesenborg.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, Derek. You're awesome.
Thanks, man.
We'll
You're
talk
awesome
to you
too.
guys later.
Testing, testing.